So today I got a sneak peek at a documentary that is currently making the rounds at film festivals. It premiered at South by Southwest in March. I really wanted to see it then and was unable to make the screening. And then it opened Frameline out in San Francisco, the queer film festival out there, just last week or the week before. And today, I got to see it with a bunch of my Turner colleagues at our first ever Rainbow Con, which was put on by the resource group known as Turnout, which I'm on the board of. I got to do a panel, and it was fantastic talking about queer representation in cinema and one of my favorite topics. But prior to that, we screened this documentary, and I am so grateful that we got this peek at this film. It's so good, and I hope it gets distribution and wins all the doc awards this year, because it is so timely and so important and such an interesting look at a complex issue. It was co-directed by Gabriel Silverman and Fiona Dawson. Fiona Dawson did a short film for the New York Times about two of the four main protagonists in this film about 3 years ago. They were, where did it go? No, my page. I had a page up with all the actors' names. No, not actors, people's names. Here we go. There it is. Logan Ireland and Ileana Villanueva. That was hard to say. Villanueva. They were in the original short doc made for the New York Times. Both of them are trans, and they, through the course of the film, they were engaged as the film was made, and they were an engaged couple in the short. And then you see how the antiquated rules about being trans in the military play out differently for Logan, who is a trans man, and Layla, who is a trans woman. And that's fascinating, but also not surprising, as we know. It generally is trans women and specifically trans women of color, who are at the, to borrow from Some Like It Hot, get the fuzzy end of the lollipop all the time. But you really, truly see it, and the inequality even between the two of them in this film. And they must be in so much love to deal with that shit. I can't imagine having to see that every day and fight through it. The other two main people followed are Captain Jennifer Peace, who transitioned after joining the military. She had been married, had children. She is still married, still has children, and is a leader in her command. And then First Lieutenant L. Cook, who has been deployed many times. All of these, the four people who are followed, all of them have been deployed. They've all been in active duty. They're all leaders in the military. The numbers are roughly that there are 15.5 thousand transgender troops in the current military as this film was made. At the time, it was really, you're not supposed to, due to antiquated medical rules, trans people were not supposed to serve. However, we know that they served, and actually the military is the largest employer of trans people in America. Yes. So this documentary follows the four of them. They're part of a group that are petitioning and meeting with leaders in the military and in the government to get this ban lifted. And so you follow them, you hear their stories, both as trans people and as military troops. You hear those stories as you see them having these meetings, etc., etc. And then this film was being made during the 26 election cycle, and so you see, sort of spoilers, but also it's a documentary based on things that have already happened, so hopefully you were following the news. You see them achieve their goals of getting this ban lifted. You see them just through talking and explaining misconceptions And then you see Trump being elected and him just putting an end to it all. This happened last summer, almost to the date. I think it was like mid-July of last year that he tweeted, because that's how he does his job. Quotes on that. That the ban would go back in effect, and that basically where it stands right now, because it's still sort of up in the air, is that those who are currently in service will not be discharged, but openly trans troops cannot no longer join, because in 2016, for the first time, openly trans people could join, and so they had a year where they could join if they wanted to, and then suddenly that rug got swept. And so you see the way the documentary was being crafted was to head towards this victory, and then because it was still being made when everything crumbled, you then see it all crumble. And so you see them going through this journey and getting this joyful moment, and then you see them see it crumble, and it's devastating, utterly devastating. And as I was watching this documentary, I got the news alert about Kennedy retiring from the Supreme Court, and I was just like, everything is terrible. But, to the point that there have always been trans people in the military. My godmother was a trans woman, and she was in the military, and she was a tough broad. And the thing is, there have always been trans people, just like there have always been gay people and lesbian people and bi people and pan people and any number of any of the things that people, for some reason in our society, think is all new. And it's like, none of this is new, and none of it, most of the things that you think you're just operating under a whole lot of ignorance. And if you watch documentaries like this, you'll learn. And unfortunately, the people who need to watch documentaries like this in order to learn and unlearn untruths that they think are truths will not ever watch something like this, and that's just utterly frustrating. I thought this was a great documentary. I liked its format. I liked the protagonists. I liked the way it was edited. I thought it was well shot. It had a point of view, but I don't think that it was dogmatic in the way that it went about explaining its point of view. Frankly, I just think it's such an important story. And I hope that if it plays in a festival near you, that you get to see it. And I hope that it gets a distributor and gets seen all over the United States, because it is just an essential film to sort of understand where we are as a society. So yes, this is TransMilitary. You should definitely, if you get a chance, check it out. Hopefully you all get a chance. And if it does get a distributor, etc., I will definitely be tweeting about it. So, keep following me there, and I'll let everyone know, because it deserves to be seen by everybody.